Welcome everyone once again to Of the Season, where we look at the best of the first and the last of the worst. And just when I thought I'd be safe, they pull me back in. That's right folks, we're looking once again into the little town of Riverdale. Its uninteresting plot, its bland characters, and its rather uninspiring premise. So, to start off our end of the season month, we look at Archie's Weird Mysteries. We begin like last time with a fake set of movie star posters and a voiceover that will ruin any suspense the show might have had.
Or is he something far worse? Can Moose triumph in his showdown with the big monster on campus?
Also strange that Jughead is shown in the posters when he doesn't appear at all during the episode, not even in the background.
Yeah. Well, whenever you notice something like that, a wizard did it.
So after the theme tune, we go into the episode proper, where Dr. Generic presides over various scientific equipment.
They said I was mad at the Alumni Association, but tonight I will prove them all wrong!
Yeah, when you cackle towards the heavens, that's not a good sign of mental stability. Dr. Carbon Copy messes with more science as his machines seem to bring a person to life. Though how is a mystery, given nothing in the animation seems to show anything connected to the person. As the man rises, you can almost see Dr. Blank Slate wanting to shout,
"Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!"
How do you feel?
Feel strong.
Oh, so close to being subtle there, but you made one mistake.
You can't just have your characters announce how they feel. That makes me feel angry.
Now the Riverdale High Raccoons don't stand a chance of winning against the Central High Whales in the big game tomorrow.
Wait a minute, did you build a guy to win a high school sports competition?
Who's crazy now?
Well, if I had to take a guess, I would think it was you, the man who built somebody to win a high school sports competition. The next day, Moose and his girlfriend Midge are walking to school when Moose spots something in a tree.
A poor little skunk.
Sweetie, that's a cat.
Oh yeah, well I've got to help it.
Be careful!
What the music sting? Why did you come in?
Everything's going to be all right.
Moose! Oh no!
I told you everything was going to be all right.
I think you should just be glad he didn't end up like the last person on this show who fell out of a tree.
Oh, Yoshka, that was close. Someone help me!
At school, everyone welcomes Moose, encouraging him to win the track meet later that day for the third time in a row. Oddly, a bit of sound seems to be missing as Midge randomly goes to stand away from the crowd, looking oddly sad for no reason.
Time for Mantle the Magnificent to work his charm.
Don't you ever learn, Reggie? Midge is Moose's girlfriend. She'll never go out with you.
Hope springs eternal, Archie. Someday Midge will realize my charms are irresistible. Time to do some flirting.
Huh. How did I describe Reggie last time?
He's an asshole.
Seems a bit soft now for the man who I could easily describe as a colossal super douche. Despite getting 2 pre-written notes from Midge telling Reggie to go take a long walk up a short pier, he continues to try and pick her up until Moose comes along and picks him up.
Hello, Moose. We were just talking about you. Yeah!
Archie, do you know a soft place where I can toss this?
That dumpster is filled with trash bags.
Thanks, Archie.
Whoa!
Guess you could say he took out the trash. At the track meet that evening... Oh, come on! Nothing even happened. The two coaches meet, finally giving us the evil coach's name as Clive Collins. Wait a minute, Collins? Oh, please don't let it be relation to the other Collins family I can think of.
Welcome home, Barnabas Collins.
How soon can the horses be ready?
We don't have horses. We have a Chevy.
No, you stay away. We'll have none of that here.
Yes, Coach Cleats, I'm ready. Ready to witness Riverdale High's ultimate doom and humiliation.
That guy needs to switch to decaf.
Despite sounding like a crazy person as he talks, the meet goes ahead, with the Riverdale team warming up.
The guys are starting to do their stretches.
Athletes, what hum!
We're girls, we have no personality beyond boys and what we think of them.
Makeup and stickers and ponies and MySpace.com!
Seriously, you could cut Betty and Veronica from this whole episode and it wouldn't really make any difference. Actually, thinking about it, you could cut out Midge too, given how little she has to do with the plot. As Central High's team of one takes to the field, Moose goes over to chat with the guy.
Aw, don't be that way. Let's shake hands. Well, that's a new way of shaking hands.
What was with his face when he just did that? Did he climax, or has he just soiled himself? Archie questions Moose if he thinks he can beat the new guy, whose name is revealed to be Chuck Ogle, which I think is possibly meant to be a reference to the Golem, given that it's one letter short. As expected, the race begins, and Moose is quickly overtaken and beaten by Ogle. Though interesting how no one questions how Ogle can run like Sonic the Hedgehog, or the fact that no one from the competing school is there to notice the sudden addition to their team, or that their team isn't there at all. Because trust me when I say that this plot line is about as clever as a T-Rex kidnapping a child.
What's going on? Why aren't you seizing the boy?
We get a short semi-montage of Moose losing to Ogle in all three events, as Ogle is able to do things time and time again that don't seem humanly possible. Seriously, somebody test this guy for drugs. I think you'd be surprised what you find inside. And isn't it strange that no one from the other school is there who'd be able to say that they didn't recognize the guy? And if this whole thing is such an important event, why does it only seem like a handful of people are in the stands? I'm serious, there's only like 20 people in the stands, but the cheers sound like this. Oh hell, guess we should be lucky we're given that many, given how lazy this show is with everything it does. Well, he's disqualified. That clearly left the field before it landed, which is violating the rules. The ball going that far is only good in baseball and golf, not the friggin' shot put. And once again, he's obviously not human. He just pitched a shot put like it was a baseball.
Ah, here's my star athlete now. Remember this face, Cleats. You'll be seeing a lot of it for the rest of the year. We'll be seeing you at the wrestling match next week.
Fucking kidding me? Stop with the sting. Nothing needed a sting. Nothing happened that required a sting. Midge comes to comfort Moose, who's become heavily devastated by the loss.
I lost. I've never lost before. That must make me a loser.
Oh, now you're just doing it to annoy me. The next day, Reggie acts like Doubt from Red Dwarf as Moose appears and feels that he's let everyone down.
Afraid to face your fellow students? You know, the ones who were relying on you to win the big meet yesterday?
I did my best.
I'm sure you did, pal. It just wasn't good enough. I guess that makes you a loser, right?
So, how are you anyway? Isn't that a huge spot appearing on your so-called face? My God, you've got fat, haven't you? Must be all that lager. But you've got a terminal disease. Always happens to people who least expect it, don't you find that?
Everyone's thinking, look at that big dopey Moose. He lost a big championship. And they're right. I'm big and stupid and all I ever was really good at was sports.
Okay, sure. Let's talk for a minute. If you're going to do a plot line where you've got someone being treated differently because he didn't do something, then show the person being treated differently. Nobody seems to be treating him differently. Everything looks exactly the same. Later at lunch, Archie learns that Moose has quit sports altogether.
Did you hear? Moose quit sports altogether.
Yes, Betty, I just said that. Thank you very much.
Serves him right for letting Central High humiliate us like that. What a loser.
Here's a question. Why is Archie friends with these people? Both Reggie and Veronica have no obviously redeeming qualities. They belittle and insult people for superficial things, and yet he's okay hanging out with them all the time. Meanwhile, Midge tries to get Moose back to his old self.
But I'm not a winner anymore.
Exactly my point, Moose. Back when you were a winner, you deserved a nice girlfriend like Midge. But now that you've taken a left turn into Loserville, well, you should learn to lower your expectations.
Moose, would you just crush his head already? Actually, in fact, let me do it. Oh, that might have just been the wrong guy. Reggie, being the awful human being that he is, asks out Midge, who accepts, though is just trying to motivate Moose to feel something other than pity. But still, dating someone else to make someone else jealous is a terrible thing to do, in the real world or in fiction. I mean, it's like sending a frog to kidnap a child.
Did you not hear what I said, you idiot? Grab the boy and bring him!
Well, it's just that there's a million people over there, and I have little arms. I'm just not so sure how well this plan was thought through.
I even tried making Moose jealous by accepting a date with Reggie, but he didn't even react.
Boy, Moose has it bad if he's letting Reggie date you. He must think that being a winner was the only worthwhile thing about him.
Wow, way to go, show. You've just managed to sum up the last few scenes with one line of useless dialogue. Archie says he'll bring Moose along on a few cases he's working on, hoping to get some semblance of the original back.
What are we doing again?
I've discovered in my research that Bigfoot loves apricot pie. It's only a matter of time before he shows up, and when he does, I get it all on videotape.
Huh, apricot pie. Funny. Why don't you wake me up after this all inevitably goes wrong, okay?
A kitty cat.
Moose? That's not a cat. That's a skunk.
Oopsie. Always get that wrong.
Ew! That smell!
Great, I'm hearing that stinker in my dreams. Following on, the pair try to trap a ghost, but as expected, everything goes wrong. However, the pair do realise that there might just be a story behind the sudden appearance of Ogle.
If only that Chuck Ogle guy had never shown up, then I'd still be big man on campus. Strange how nobody had heard of someone that good.
Say, you're right. There was something weird about that kid. He was too good.
Really? You only just realised that? The guy runs like Sonic, jumps like Mario, and throws a shot put like... Huh. There aren't any video game characters that really throw things, are there? Like the Trunchbull from Matilda? The next day, Archie and Moose begin investigating Ogle.
I did an internet search on Chuck Ogle's athletic record. There isn't one. It's like he appeared out of nowhere last week.
Okay, let's go down the list of things that are stupid here. Number 1, the coach never made any sort of fake documentation to cover up his plan. 2, Archie only seems to have looked for one thing about the guy and nothing else of interest that might have helped. 3, how come no one at the other school wonders about the mysterious new student who was literally born yesterday?
Coach, if anybody knows what's going on around here, it would be him. Let's go.
Okay, this time the stinger was appropriate. Barely, but appropriate.
That's it, Moose. Coach Clive is using some kind of strength-enhancing ray to give Ogle superhuman abilities. It's time to bring the police in on this.
Whoopsie.
Oh,
no! Okay, hold on a second. Animation can occasionally get away with this. The changing of a setup of a building or of a room for the purpose of a joke. However, when you do it mid-scene, we kind of have a problem. So, let's explain, shall we? First, Archie and Moose hide behind a table, and then apparently behind a completely different table in the next shot. Why they've moved makes no sense, since both tables can be seen through, and how Archie managed to get himself to the door so quickly without drawing attention to himself is also baffling. But it does raise another question. How stupid a villain do you have to be to forget to lock the door when you're doing something you don't want anyone else to see that you're doing? I mean, it's as stupid as trying to kill the kid version of your inventor so that all he ever has to do is say this.
I am never going to invent you.
And I promise that's the last reference to Meet the Robinsons I will make.
I thought I recognized you two from the meet with Riverdale High last week. I'm afraid I'm going to have to keep you both here as guests. Permanent guests.
Hey, well done, show! You've actually used the sting in the right place for once. Now, who wants to go back to making no sense? Who wants to go back to making no sense? You do! Coach Collins decides to just lock up Archie and Moose in the classroom so that his plan can go ahead.
You just kill him.
No, Scott, I have an even better idea. I'm going to place him in an easily escapable situation involving an overly elaborate and exotic death.
Why don't you just shoot him now? I mean, I'll go get a gun. We'll shoot him together. It'll be fun. Bang! Dead. Done.
Despite there being several ways that they could escape, and that Coach Collins' plan would be revealed as soon as they get free. So, yeah, in other words...
That's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, you imbecile!
Despite the villain not appearing to lock the door, Archie finds it locked, so decides to escape through a vent. Cause you know every vent is the perfect size for a human to fit through. Although, does allow me to use this clip.
I know what a TV dinner feels like.
Before leaving, Archie takes the light that Coach Collins was using, somehow placing it into his pants pocket with no visible signs of it being there. Huh, didn't know the Guybrush Threepwood would make jeans. As Archie arrives at the gym for the wrestling match, he somehow changes the light bulb above him so that he can bathe in its rays and gain super strength. Despite the lights being far too reach on his own, and them appearing to be light strips and not bulbs, so yeah, that makes no sense. However, Coach Collins tells him of one little flaw in his plan.
That light only works on Ogle, you fool. He's an android, a robotic man.
Why would he need a light to give him super strength if he's an android? Shouldn't he have that already? Because that just makes me think that you, sir...
You are made of stupid.
Also, classic villain mistake to admit your plan out loud in front of the main character. Moose finally talks himself out of his pity party and races to assist Archie, showing off his strength before facing against Ogle.
Just you try it. Oh, I'll try it. Just you try it. You'll feel it when I try it. I'd like to see you have at it. Would you now?
Moose is somehow able to pin Ogle down, despite the fact that if he is an android, that he should be crushed by Ogle's bear hug. The idea of pain should be something Ogle will just laugh off. Unless, of course, Collins was the guy who built this.
Why? Why was I programmed to feel pain?
Moose manages to win in the anticlimax of all anticlimaxes, as Ogle accidentally reveals his robotic nature, which amazingly no one is surprised about. I mean, literally no one is surprised. There's a slight murmur of shock, but the very next line is...
I've just spoken to the State High School Sports Board, and they want a close look at that android of yours. When they're through with you, you'll be lucky to coach a chess team.
So, they believed him when he called them and told them that Central High was using an android to cheat in a sports competition? The fuck? Coach Collins goes on his villain speech, though far too late at this point, as the men in white coats come to take him away. Rather quickly, I might add.
This is your fault! You're nothing but a loser! I don't even want to look at you!
Who apparently has feelings, since he actually looks upset. So, yeah, the man built a robot that is apparently superhuman, and has human feelings, and can almost perfectly pass for a human, but he built it to win a high school sports competition. What the fuck is wrong with you? You could have made millions of dollars, and instead you just wanted to win a high school sports competition? Midge appears and gets back together with Moose, because you know that was an extremely important plot point. So much so that it had less than a couple of minutes worth of screen time devoted to it.
Oh, I know exactly how that feels. You let me down. I have to do something. Don't feel useless. Maybe my dad can give you a job at his store or something. You can have all the motor oil you can drink.
Sir, that is a stereotype against Robo-Americans, and I take great offense to that comment.
What did I tell you? My Moose has a big heart.
That's why he'll always be a winner, no matter what.
Unfortunately, this show will always be a loser. And to top it off, not even the ending monologue is that interesting.
Moose is back on the athletic team again, and a lot of people are a little ashamed about the way they treated him when they thought he was a loser. They forgot that there was far more to Moose than winning at sports. Even Moose lost sight of what truly made him special, his big heart. I guess now and then everyone needs a little reminder of what is truly special about themselves, even in a little town called Riverdale.
Thank you for summing up a little over 20 minutes worth of nothing, Archie. So what did I think? This is worse than the opening episode by a freaking mile. I don't even know where to begin with how this show utterly fails during this episode. This was the last episode of the series when it aired, and thank God it was. Any more like this, it had been cancelled on the spot. The characters continue to be lifeless drones with barely distinguishable personalities. The plot makes no sense and reveals everything straight away, so even the surprise of Ogle being an android is basically a footnote. Other things that should be major plot points just get dropped and have no real bearing on the episode as a whole, like Midge and Moose's relationship, or how people treated Moose differently after he lost. This isn't like last time when I would have enjoyed seeing anything extra in exposition about why the potato alien was doing what it did. This just falls down because if anyone had a lick of common sense, they'd realise something fishy was going on. Especially since Ogle appears from nowhere, no one from his school appears at the meets, despite them supposedly being important, so they'd know if he'd suddenly appeared, and logic just seems to allow it to go hang, because it wasn't worth the time for the writers to think about. The music constantly plays that same stupid stinger, even at times when there's no reason to, and sometimes seems to drop dialogue where there should have been some a couple of times. Last time I talked about this show and that it didn't really bother me too much, but this time I really didn't like the episode. You could even say I downright hated it. I get that this show is meant to be for kids, and that's fine, but hell, as a person going through a university course where we learn how to write and structure scripts, things like this cannot be glossed over. When you put together a plot that could be dismantled by a stiff breeze, you insult both kids and adults. Everything that's wrong with this episode can be summed up in one word: lazy. From the writing to the show's sounds and editing, nothing about it makes me think they were making episodes because they thought it was a good idea, but because they wanted to get it over and done with as quickly as possible. Funnily enough, a sentiment that I wholeheartedly share. This episode is a true example of how poorly made this show can be, and given that the first episode was tolerable, it feels almost amazing how polarizing my opinion of the show has changed from watching one episode, which makes me quite glad I never have to deal with this show again. Hey, wait a minute. This disc has a bonus episode of Mona the Vampire. Well, I've been Tyas, and this has been End of the Season, and I'll see you next time. But for now, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to watch a good cartoon.